Hey there, welcome to my channel. So 2 years ago, I had started this world building project that I kind of left in the dust after a while. Right now, I want to revive and sort of redesign to test my current level of skill and sort of how much I've improved with everything. So what you're seeing right now is the first thing that I actually designed, which is the world that this whole thing takes place in. It is set on an asteroid because I wanted it to be unique and stand out from all the other worlds that existed. So even back then, I think the design of the asteroid, which you can see on the top left corner of the screen, was pretty blank, and I wanted to make it more interesting. So one of the things that I knew I had to do was introduce more greenery and more blue areas because then it would look a lot more like some sort of a habitable place because that was kind of the colors of the earth. But this was tricky because I didn't want there to be plants. When I first started, it was meant to be like green rocks instead of plants, which was also consumable. It was like the rocks were an excuse for plants and trees and stuff, which I'm still keeping. So instead of just making it patches like I did in the first design, I just actually made greenery stand out and sort of have a little bit of volume in there. For the water, it was even more trickier because I didn't know how there will be water on an asteroid because the gravity is different and a lot of stuff needs to happen. So I didn't want it to be naturally occurring water because I didn't know how to explain it. Instead, I went with the fantasy route. So I made an entire lore for this asteroid thanks to the water crisis. So the story is that this asteroid is actually made by a less powerful god who wanted to make life happen on this place. So instead of he couldn't make big water bodies like on Earth because the asteroid couldn't support it. So instead, he made these water crystal chunks that floated on top of the asteroid that provided the asteroid with water. So that's what I went with. And yeah, so the design also, I made it more interesting with more, interesting shape design, more interesting colors, and just overall, like good storytelling. So this thing, now with this, lore set in place, I can expand on top of that later on if I want to. So that's the asteroid redesign. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, we'll move on quickly to the next thing. So this was the first creature design that I actually did for the project. It was supposed to be really chunky because of the gravity of the asteroid. At least that was the logic that I had at the time. And because of that, I also wanted it to have a lot of limbs. I think I think I took it as an excuse to add a lot of limbs, but I don't think I implemented all of that stuff in a captivating way, in an interesting way. I think when you think of chunky animals and stuff, the first thing that comes to mind is just adding like elephantine legs and elephantine with an elephantine body. But you really don't think a lot more than that. So with this design, I actually wanted to sort of go further with that idea of it being really chunky. And so I made the legs look a lot more brachiosaurid, if you know what I mean. Look up brachiosaurid legs. They're just really, really weird. Okay, the initial design also had to be green because I wanted it to sort of camouflage with the background, which would be, the green rocks and canyons and all that kind of stuff. But I felt like when I was redesigning it, I felt like I had to add a little bit more in there because it would benefit from adding a little bit more color in there. I think it doesn't look like a creature enough. In the first design, it looks a lot more like a statue. So I wanted to push the colors and the values and stuff a lot more with this design, with this redesign. So that's what I did. I added a lot more, sort of grays inside, reds and sort of pinks and everything. So I wanted to also light this properly this time. When I first drew that first design, I actually didn't know how to light things properly, how to texture things properly. So I wanted to do it in a better way. This time, these guys were actually called asteroids, because they were living on an asteroid. I know I'm not the best at naming, so and in fact, the asteroid was actually called Voidix, also because it was an asteroid. So if you guys have better suggestions, I would love to hear them in the comments below. Anyways, so that's pretty much the design of this creature. I really like the redesign that I did for it, and I want to know you guys' thoughts on it as well. So yeah, I look forward to seeing that. Yeah, hope you guys liked it. And let's move on quickly to the next thing. So, these creatures are called blue mites, and they were my attempt at creating an insectoid design for the project. This creature lived in a symbiotic relationship with the asterons, as in they sort of cleaned their bodies and ate the dead cells on the asteron's body, and the asterons in return provided them with shelter and safety. Similar to how we have a lot of microscopic creatures living inside our bodies. I wanted them to be easily distinguishable from the Astrons, so I made them blue and gave them a lot more contrasting colors. The older design, I think, was a lot more generic, actually, so I wanted to make this redesign very unique. I chose to go with a very sharp looking design, so a lot of triangles, and I like the way that looked. I didn't want it to be overly complex for no reason, so this was the final render. This was the final design that I went with. So yeah, how do you like that? Do you think the redesign is better, or do you think the old one was better? So the last design for the video is called the shell tangle, which is an aquatic creature. It was supposed to be an amalgamation of jellyfish and sea turtles. I think a running theme with most of my old designs at this point, and this one is absolutely included, was the lack of complexity. Not that creature designs always need to be complex. It needs complexity in the way that it's presented, at least. For example, a rat would be a simple design, but we can render it to imply fur and whiskers and tails and such, and have fun with the details. And that's pretty much what wildlife artists and like photographers try to get with their pieces. And adding complexity can show the texture of a creature. Of course, this can also differ if there are stylistic reasons, like making the design to be animated traditionally, in which case the design would be simplified a lot. So for the redesign, I wanted to show a lot more variety with the texture and colors to imply complexity. The first design was meant to be glowing with the help of bioluminescence, but it doesn't look like it, and I wanted to remedy that with the redesign. The flippered tentacles look turtle-like for the most part, but I wanted to push that a lot more to a point where it looked like they had mineral formations on them. And the hole in the middle was supposed to be mysterious, but it just didn't feel mysterious enough in the first design. So I completely pushed that and made that part an entire cave system. Well, it's not a cave system; it just looks like a cave. I completely overhauled the colors to make it look more interesting too, and I really like the new look. But what do you think? What do you think of this new design? I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. So yeah, those are the four redesigns that I've done today. What did you think of them? I'd love to know what you think in the comments. If you liked the video, yeah, just like the video, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. And in fact, there's a lot of next ones coming, hopefully. And yeah, I'd love to keep doing this. So yeah, see ya.